You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Trades. Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, a lot of trade talk going on with the Bulls. We're going to talk about if the Bulls should, instead of being looking to trade up, maybe should they trade down and back in this draft and gain some more assets. We're also going to look at an interesting Pistons and P. Will trade idea. And could Alex Caruso go to the Philadelphia 76ers? We'll talk about it all and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And Pat... Oh, no, I forgot title sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you.
We got to get paid for this, Haize. We don't do this for free.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. All right, Pat. We talked a lot. There's been a lot of talk about the Bulls trading up. I think me and you did a good job yesterday separating what trading up means and getting an additional draft pick higher in the draft, which are two very different things. You keep your own pick in one.
Yeah.
What do you think about the prospect of the Bulls trading up? And the reason why this is kind of an important one is that the biggest position of need right now for the Chicago Bulls is center. Now, if DeMar DeRozan walks and you trade Zach LaVine, a wing could become just as highly coveted in that, and maybe the draft dictates something with that. But this is a draft that is deep at the wing position, is deep at power forward and center position. But if the Bulls are planning on primarily running most of this roster back, center is probably the biggest need. And most of the centers are probably slated to go anywhere between like 15 and 2025. What do you think about the prospect of the Bulls trading back in this draft rather than up?
I guess the only question I'd have is how much value is trading back going to get you? I mean, realistically speaking, we're talking about trading a guy like Alex Caruso, who's a very good player, but we're talking about trading him for, for the number 3 overall pick. Like, there's not many drafts in this that you can go in and say, hey, we've got Alex Caruso, give us the number 3 overall pick. We'll give you something else on it. But mostly what you're getting is Alex Caruso. That's not going to happen most times, right?
Yeah, no, this is one of the only drafts that would ever possibly happen.
And so I think because of that, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it to trade back? Because what are you realistically getting? Yes, you may be able to go back and maybe get some more draft capital and get some depth, but am I getting, a future first round pick from the Lakers? Like, I guess, give me that pick, 4 years down the road, maybe I'll feel a little bit better about it, but like, what am I getting back in the deal? There's not going to be a ton to get you for 11 when Alex Caruso can get you the number 3 overall pick potentially, or right, like we're going to talk about in this Pistons trade idea when we get to that, right? There's opportunity to go get, higher draft capital for players that have been primarily role players. So I think that to me, that makes it tough to say trading back is the right move. Not that there's not good role players back there that if you trade back, maybe you get a little bit of you get a good player and you get some more capital on top of it. It's always good to add, but I don't see that being a great get for the number 11 overall pick this season.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes back, I guess, to the point of, are we talking about necessarily trading back or maybe using some assets to acquire a lower pick in this draft, which would be a completely different prospect? I wouldn't mind if, like, in the Zach LaVine trade, not necessarily it's the focus of the Zach LaVine trade, but maybe in the Zach LaVine trade, you get a low pick as part of that. I wouldn't be mad at it. Now, trading back, I don't think, this is a draft where teams are trying to trade out of the top 10. Because they think that they can get equal value pretty much lower in the draft. So the prospect of trading back, I get it. And I think people have, in some other drafts, maybe you can get more assets. But even then, trading back in the NBA draft, it's not like trading back in the NFL draft where you get a lot of assets for trading back. It's just never been that way. Maybe you can get a back end of the bench player. Maybe you can get a heavily protected future pick or something like that. But that's if you're trading up high. 11, while not low, it's not high enough in this type of draft where you're looking at probably getting a lot of assets back for trading back.
And I think that's the biggest thing. You're talking about trading back for when you're at 11 right now, especially in this. What are you doing to improve the team? Yes, you may get another pick. Yes, maybe you get right. I guess I could see it more if there was a player, but even then, right? Like you've got to match salaries. You've got to match. Like the Bulls don't have the cap space to take on just a player coming in for a pick. So you're still trading a player anyway with the 11th overall pick. It makes it tough. You know what I mean? Like it's not a prospect I would be out on, but like I'd be having to get at least somebody that I know already in the league is a legitimate role player back so that I know I'm getting something. Because I just don't feel like you're getting I don't feel like you're getting much for the 11th overall pick right now. And it's more worth it to me to stand pat and just take a player that you feel is there or move up than to move back.
Now, the only way that I could see that the Bulls getting a lot back, and we wouldn't know this before, like as the draft starts, this would have to go. If somebody drops at number 11, that a team 3-4 spots back is like, oh crap, we really didn't think they dropped this far. We absolutely have them as number 1 on our board. Let's try to move up and get them. Yeah. Maybe in that case, but then again, you're asking for that in a draft where it seems like most teams are pretty content in just taking a shot at whatever talent is going to be there.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Like, there's always the hope, right? Like, if not Nikola Topic ends up falling that far, right? After everything.
Yeah, I could see something like that.
I could see somebody going, we're willing to take a chance on his knee. We feel like he's a better player. It's a different time in medicine right now.
People take chances on their knees.
Yeah. Hey, yo. Yo, oh,
talking about praying, bro.
Whoa. But no, I just feel like if you're gonna take a chance, if you've got somebody like of that talent where it's like we saw what he was, I can see the Bulls doing that. And I'm not gonna lie, if Topic ended up falling to us at that point, Bulls got to find a way to trade it. I'm not taking a chance on another point guard with a bad knee.
Like we said yesterday, you can't come in with a pre-torn ACL. Like that's not what because it's not like the Bulls can say we got ACLs at home. No, we don't. We have none here.
Well, listen, I don't know, man. Maybe they got a room where just dead guys that Lonzo can keep getting his knee replaced from. You know what I mean? Maybe there's a room in the United Center of just
bro, you didn't just say that
of cadavers that you can keep swapping out.
You didn't just say that.
Some ACL.
The Bulls have invested in cadaver knees just for Lonzo Ball. They just
just based on our history here, you got to keep a few extras around. You know what I mean? They call it the leg room.
Bro, that was the dad joke of all dad jokes. That's actually pretty funny.
You laughed though. You chuckled.
Yeah. Listen, that's hilarious. But here's the thing. Ultimately, I hope the Bulls are open to everything. Because let's just say, for example, I'm just throwing a name out there. I'm not saying he's actually on the Bulls board. But let's say the Bulls do have, for example, Eve Missy as the one they're looking at, and they're like, nah, this is our center of the future. Play your cards right. Wait till the draft. Trade back and wait till the team calls you and say, oh my God, I mean, yeah, if you really want the number, we were really planning on going ahead and keeping it. But if you guys do want it, we can part ways with it. What do you get? Like, you gotta play it, right? That's part of your job as being a GM and a president of basketball operation. But per what we said yesterday, the highest probability still falls that the Chicago Bulls do nothing.
And I think here's the thing: if Yves Messi is the one thing that I do wonder about him is his rebounding. But definitely a talented player.
You worry about his rebounding. He has a rebounding percentage when he's on the court of it's like 26% or so. He just doesn't play many minutes. That's why the numbers are low.
I mean, I hate you. 22 minutes a game, 6 rebounds. All right, yeah, man. Yeah. I watched Jared Jackson.
My biggest concern with him
get 11 in that time every night because he fouled out by the time he get to 23 minutes.
You watch who?
I said I watched Jared Jackson get 11 by that time.
Yeah, that's in the NBA though. It's a little bit different. You know how they attack stuff in college, but I think with Messi, the biggest thing I'm concerned on is like, bro, why you only played over 20 minutes like 5 times? Like, what's the conditioning looking like there?
You know what I mean? That's a big question too. Yeah. But I think here's my thing. if you identify a guy and you say he is our whatever of the future, you shouldn't be worried about whatever the backlash is of you taking him at 11. You shouldn't be worried.
He's not worried about backlash. I'm just saying if you can gain more assets while still getting your guy. At this draft, you take whoever your guy is. But if a team calls and you're like, hey, yeah, we can still get him.
Well, and that's my thing, right? Like if you I guess in this draft, if you identify somebody, because it's different in a different draft, right? Like if you go back to the P. Will draft, right? Oh, if we miss out on P. Will, darn it, we missed out on Patrick Williams. Well, Tyrese Halliburton, Tyrese Maxey, Devin Vassell are some names that maybe we could take a look at. There were still options. To me, in this draft, you identify somebody as your whatever of the future. You don't play around with it and even chance that somebody can get it, because I don't know how many of those players are in this draft. Now, to be fair, that's what they said about the 2020 draft. But exactly. I think that it does make it a little bit more urgent if you identify that guy and he gets to you, because I just wouldn't risk it. Like, I get adding more assets. I'd be fine with it, but there's not, I would say you're going to get a ton of role players out of this draft. I don't even know if I see the number one pick as a superstar.
We'll see, bro. Like I said, 2020 draft was slated to be a very weak draft, and a lot of those players turned out really good. I mean, ultimately it comes down to, like you said, whoever you have as number one on your board, if you really see them, their potential of being a transcendent player that actually turns into a star or near star for you, you just take them. Just take them.
Yeah, that's where I'm at this point, because and can the draft get here any quicker? My God,
we're 15 days away from the draft, so we're almost there.
We're almost there. We're almost there. But the finals, I'm not mad at it. We'll see what they do. Should the Bulls trade down? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Next up, though, we're going to be talking about some trade potential. This one, a potential P. Will trade with the Pistons. Don't like it, but we'll talk about it. But summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more. And you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. Hey, by the way, Pat, who do you have right now? Who do you think's going to win Finals MVP? Because it's dang sure ain't going to be Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum.
You think Jason Tatum's going to have that great of a to end this series?
Nope. But I watched Andre Iguodala win Finals MVP against LeBron.
But that's when he was playing lockdown defense. Tatum isn't playing lockdown defense.
Hey, listen, Bron still put up 30 plus. Like, he played good defense, but like 30 plus is nuts.
But it's the efficiency, bro. You kill me always looking at just the numbers. The efficiency, it was one of LeBron's worst efficient finals. But visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Visit FanDuel.com today and FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. Yeah, that was a stroke. That was definitely a stroke. All right, Pat. We got some trade ideas up here, bro. You've been scouring the net. I love that this comes from non-Bull sources as well. So that way, if Bulls fans get pissed off by this, we can easily say, "Hey, this is them coming up with that. That's not us. It's not us."
Yes, no, that I think that is what made the article more interesting to me when I was sitting there looking through it, and I wish I had saved the article instead of just screenshotting it. But I screenshotted this trade. It's from a Pistons blog, and it has a Detroit Pistons draft trade with Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls would receive the 5th overall pick in the 2024 draft and the 53rd overall pick in the 2024 draft. And the Pistons get Patrick Williams and the 11th overall pick in the 2024 draft. Haize, what say you? Would you make this move?
I'm not as in the toilet as you are in Patrick Williams. I don't hate the deal, but I don't really like it either. Because to me, unless technically we can't even make that trade because we're not able to trade Patrick Williams right now while he's a restricted free agent. We can't trade him before the draft. We got to wait till free agency opens. So it's like, unless they're making the pick for you and you have a kind of a preconceived deal there, I just get number 5, moving up from number 11. To me, I'm kind of just fine staying at number 11. Nothing else that we're getting in that trade really entices me very much, but I'm sure you're more in on it.
I mean, listen, here's my thing. This is from Pistons Powered, by the way. That was the blog that put this out. Tyler Dutton on the article here. I thought that this was interesting to me because it does speak to a shift, and this was all based around people trying to trade up for Donovan Clingan. It does put you in a position if you wanted to trade up and go get Donovan Clingan, where you'd be ahead of the team that is projected to take him right now, probably is the Portland Trail Blazers. So they would have to move up above you to get to him, which I don't foresee them doing because they've traded enough assets on this whole thing already. But I think that realistically, you're trying to find something that's actually going to hit for your future, and so you're taking a chance on something that maybe, I know we're down on this draft, but maybe a guy who is a back-to-back national champion winner, maybe a guy who has shown on the defensive end that he can show that defensive prowess, maybe a guy who has shown consistently that he can get himself involved offensively and run the floor really well. You take a chance on him, especially as a 7-footer, over the guy who's been in the NBA 3 years and has basically shown you kind of the same thing over those last 3 seasons. Yes, has his percentages improved? For sure. Has he absolutely improved from the 3-point line? For sure. But his mindset and his confidence in his game has not improved. And I think that's something that, to me, going out, if you're going to go after a player like Donovan Clingan in a trade like this, there's no lack of confidence from him right now coming off his second national championship, where we just want Pat. We're like, shoot, dog. Like, just do it. Like, you're better at it. Do it. And that's tough to teach out of guys. So I'd be in favor of this trade.
I mean, listen, I can understand. I mean, when you throw in the Donovan Clingan aspect of it, I'm just not. I'm whelmed by the trade. Is what it is. This is what it is. I'm not overwhelmed.
You're not a Clingan guy either, are you? You're not,
I actually like Clingan a lot. I actually do like Clingan a lot in this draft. Okay. I like him. I think that he has more upside than what people give him as a scorer, because he was on that UConn team that liked to spread the ball around. And for the people who constantly always talk about, well, Zach Edey, well, he dominated him in who won that game. And also, by the way, let's not act like we didn't see some players that outplayed Derrick Rose in college, and Derrick Rose ended up being a better player then. So let's not act like Zach
Edey wasn't absolutely gassed in that game too.
Yeah. So, like, I'm not too worried about that. But I mean, it's not that I don't like Donovan Clingan. It's just like there are other centers that I like other in this draft, to where you're not giving up the 11th and Patrick Williams. But like I said, I guess that's on how you view Patrick Williams. As a 22-year-old player, he still could be in this draft. There's a lot of 22-year-old players in this draft. So I still think that there's a lot of untapped potential in Patrick Williams, where just dumping him off to move up 5 spots and give up your own pick, it's like I said, it's not the best case scenario for me. But I mean, if you see Clingan being that guy, I mean, I can't be mad at it if it works out. So.
I think that's the question for me, though, right? It's what do you feel like the ceiling of both players is? To me, the ceiling of Patrick Williams at this point is like, dog, like, get to the point where Andrew Wiggins was. Like, become Otto Porter Jr. that half a season that he was good. Or those, you know what I mean? Like that's really, like, to me, that's the ceiling that we're hoping for from people.
Can we get to John Salmons? You remember that season of John Salmons?
The John Salmons season. You know what I mean? Can we get to John Salmons? Like, I think that's the part for me where if you've already identified, and to me, I have, that's the ceiling of a player, then I need to take chances on players that possibly could have a higher ceiling. And I think back-to-back natties, he's the catalyst of both of them. I think there's more of a ceiling there. And we've seen that type of player already work in the league. We should have drafted him when we took Dalen Terry. Like, that's, like,
bro, we didn't even have to be here right now. Bro.
We didn't have to be here, bro.
We didn't have to be here right
there.
He was right there. You didn't have to trade up. You didn't have to trade down.
There's a story that's going to come out where Walker's going to be like, no, I thought I was a Bull.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know it's coming.
Oh,
you know it's coming.
In about 6 years, absolutely, bro. No, you know what it's going to be? When he hits restricted free agency for the first time and he takes a meeting with the Bulls, and he's going to be, yeah, you know, I thought I was going to be a Bull in that draft. You know, I was really ready to become a Chicago Bull. It made sense. I was looking forward to learning behind Nikola Vucevic for a year.
And every Bulls fan is just going to be flipping tables. And Son of a no, yeah. I feel like we've seen that type of player work, and now if you give him more of a role, more of the hey, if you play well, especially between him and Kobe White, this is your team. I think it's kind of time to take a chance on that. And I'm not gonna lie, I know this is a stretch, right? I know this is a stretch, but you try to connect it to like Bulls players that you've seen before. There's a lot of doubt on Joakim Noah coming in, and these resumes are very similar.
Yeah, but the difference is, though, in all honesty,
Connecticut and Florida. Let's be real.
No. Also, the difference is that we knew that Joakim Noah wasn't a scorer, right?
Yeah.
We knew that. Like, nobody even in the highest projections projected Joakim Noah to be a scorer. Donovan Clingan still has tons of potential untapped as a scorer. So for that comparison that you bring, I get what you're getting at with that for sure.
I'm just saying, like the resumes now, scoring wise, yes, Donovan Clingan, you would expect a little bit more from offensively. Although my thing, I expect more from on the rim protection side. As a rim protector, as somebody down low, that's where I'm looking for.
I mean, what is almost 2 blocks per game?
Oh yeah. That. But that's what I'm saying. I would expect more on the defensive end than I would on the offensive. But like if he came in his rookie season and he puts up Patrick Williams' stat line, but he protects the paint. That would be a win in that trade for me, right? What's that? 10.5 points a game. Yeah, rebound more than P. Will, but like 10.5 points per game and 2 blocks. Yeah, I mean, if you made that trade with the Pistons,
I mean that changes a lot.
Trading with the Pistons, they're not going to develop them. That's the one thing we do know. They're not going to develop. You know what I mean?
You said that eliminates the concern of him developing elsewhere. I see
what if he's the linchpin for them? What if like
that would be the thing is that we trade Patrick Williams for Donovan Clingan, and then it's like Patrick Williams is this point forward that they're operating everything off of, and like come on, Cade is able now to play off ball, and all of a sudden he like. That's exactly what would happen.
We're stressed to make $350 million, bro. That's nuts to me, and I love it. I love it. The Pistons about to just be like, well, who else we gonna pay? We ain't got nobody else. Hey, man, before we get into this final topic, where an Alex Caruso trade is very gross, and this is the first time I've said this about a Caruso trade in this offseason. So, but we got to break down BetterHelp before we get into that time, because this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, me and Haize are both big proponents of therapy, and we believe that if you have to go get help, you need to find the help, and BetterHelp wants to give you the help that you need. We all carry around different stressors, big and small, and we keep them bottled up, and it can affect us negatively. Therapy can be a safe space for you to get those things off your chest and figure out how to work through whatever is weighing you down. If you benefited from therapy, you already know the things that therapy can do for you, but with BetterHelp, it makes it even easier. If you're thinking about starting therapy, it's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire. It matches you perfectly with a licensed therapist. And if you feel like that's not so perfect, I don't know, I'm just not getting the vibe, I understand what you're saying, but it's not working for me, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. It's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
All right, Pat. Alex Caruso trade. We had a solid one yesterday. It wasn't great, but it was solid. It was solid.
We had some solid ones.
This one is like, are you just trying to give up? Just give them up? That's not what we're trying to do here. Like, I think people kind of missed the bucket there on what we're trying to do. Go ahead, Pat, with the trade, bro.
Yeah, this one comes from PhillyVoice.com. It basically is saying that, hey, y'all got to give up anyway. That's pretty much what I'm getting from the article here. But they make the trade offer for the Bulls, basically giving up Alex Caruso to the Sixers in a trade, and they would likely need to send back Paul Reed. They say if Chicago's front office finally comes to the realization that it needs to rebuild, it could do a whole lot worse than trading an expiring contract of Caruso for Reed. Let's start there. We can do so much better. I like Paul Reed.
Paul Reed.
I really like Paul Reed. I wanted Paul. I think he was he a free agent last year or 2 years ago? One of them where I was like, if we got Paul Reed, I would not be mad.
Yeah, last season
as a backup center. It's last season. I wouldn't be mad at Paul Reed as a backup center. I wanted Paul Reed to be a Bull last year, but we can do a whole lot better than Paul Reed. Like, come on, dog. That's the start of this. Like, that's what's wild about this. And then it says productive backup center with outstanding athletic tools who turns 25 this week. He is very young, and the number 16 pick. Number 11 is currently the only pick this year. In this year's draft, owned by the Bulls. The Sixers already own Chicago's second-round pick, slated for number 41, after acquiring it from the Boston Celtics in exchange for Jaden Springer. So, would you trade Alex Caruso for Paul Reed and the 16th overall pick?
Didn't a second-round pick in that too, right? Are they
No,
saying
they just said they have our second-round pick. That was a flex. I don't know what like it didn't say.
Here's the thing. They'd have to send that second-round pick, and you know why I'm going to say that? Because that could be Terrence Shannon Jr.
Hey, no.
Now, I'm just saying. Now, what does that do for you, Pat? If it's again, I don't like the trade, but if you are getting the number 11th, you get your wing or your new backup point there. You get number 16. You can pick a center there. And you walk away with Terrence Shannon Jr. in the second round.
Here's my thing. Like, why are we? I'm not mad at it, but why are we dangling Paul Reed? Like, you know why though? You know why? If we being honest, they don't have anybody else on the roster.
They don't have anybody else they can trade. That's basically what it boils down to. They got 4 players under contract, and one of them's a two-way player that they can't trade. So, bro, like,
it's literally like, who are your trade options right now? Paul Reed or Tyrese Maxey?
Exactly. So they got Joel Embiid, Paul Reese, Tyrese Maxey, who they're going to technically they have an option on him. They could decline the option, but they're going to pick up that option. And Ricky Council the fourth.
How many Ricky Councils were before this guy that were good? I'm not. 41 is high in the second. If you included that second, I might be in on it. That's tough though.
That's tough, bro.
That's tough.
I don't like it. I'm not going to just be honest. I don't like it.
11, 16. So at 11, you would take probably Philip. Well, I mean,
no. If at 11, you're probably going to go one of whoever falls between Tajon Saloon. You probably go high upside there, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think? Maybe. I mean, maybe not.
Does Dalton Connect fall in it? Probably not. He's probably top.
Probably. Well, the thing is, one of them is going to fall there.
One of them has to
between Tajon Saloon, Mattis Bucilis, and Connect. One of them got to be there at number 11.
I'll tell you what. Just to talk about the other trade that was available as well. Although they did include 11, I would take a chance on Cody Williams there. If I get the 16th and I get that second, I feel like I'd take a chance on Cody Williams
on the roster.
I'm finding a way to trade P. Will, but that's just me. That's not AK.
You know what would be crazy if you do that and then Cody Williams literally is just P. Will again. And
he's P. Will, but I'm fine with that if we're starting over again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. It's just, I'm fine with it.
That's crazy.
It's the Bears conversation, right? I don't got to pay Cody Williams. P. Will coming up for this money. I ain't got to pay Cody Williams.
That's fair.
So but I'd be interested in that. I'm not gonna lie. And then you just got Paul Reed. Like, Paul Reed's cool. Paul Reed takes over if you don't re-sign Drummond, or if you don't find a way to re-sign Drummond. If you don't,
I just looked. So I just did a quick look. Some mocks do have Terrence Shannon Jr. going anywhere between 35 and 43.
I swear I'd take him at 11. I don't care what
I know you would, bro.
Now, I will say this, because the trial and everything is
the trial's going on now. I would not be surprised if by the end of this week, Terrence Shannon Jr. is back in the first round.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Based on how it sounds like, how people who know a heck of a lot more about how this trial is going to go than I do, how it sounds like it's going to go, I would guarantee you, if a not guilty verdict is put out there, I'll say this: Terrence Shannon Jr. becomes a lottery pick. We may not be in the range for Terrence Shannon Jr., because we
are a lottery pick.
Well, that's true, I guess. Terrence Shannon Jr. will be a top 5 to 8 pick, I should say. Because I think people look at Terrence Shannon Jr. and they're like, he's talented. We just got this case.
Yeah.
Nobody looks at him and was like, he can't play.
Now it's unlikely that the case is completely done and settled in the 2 weeks between now and the draft. But in the case that it is, they return, they come back, not guilty, dismiss, whatever it is. Terrence Shannon Jr. isn't going no lower than 20th in this draft. And that's just if the lottery teams are still like, what if he does it again?
I'd be that's nuts. All right. Time to get out of here. Follow us on everything.
Hold on. Not that he did anything, but what if he's put in another weird situation? Like, what if he finds himself in another weird situation? I had to correct. I'm not saying he did anything. That is not what I'm saying. I just mean that is like
network.
Listen, as somebody who said there's a lot of women who knows what pat on the back means, I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm not on nobody's back.
That's not. We got that. You can't take it away. We got it on tape. We have a recording of you saying it. You can't say allegedly when you said it. We got proof.
That's nuts, bro. That man said there are gonna be some teams that think, what if he does it? What the heck? Oh God. Oh, that's so wild.
Send this out, bro. Let's get up out of here, man.
Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer, and watch out for a pat on your back. I don't know.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize, man. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube and the Odyssey app. Oh, and Fire TV for Pat the Designer. This has been Locked On Bulls, man. We out of here. Peace, y'all. That's crazy.
I'm crying, dog. Oh God, I'm crying, bro. Oh, man. Oh my God, bro. I love this show. Dog, that's the funniest thing ever.